One of the important elements in my photography is the fact that I have been very privileged to spend a lot of time in some of the great museums of the world. I grew up in Philadelphia, and a lot of my misspent youth was just wandering the great collection of the Philadelphia Museum of Art and the Rodin Museum, which was very near my prep school. When I went to Amsterdam, I went to the Rijksmuseum, and there was one of the most important paintings in my career. And I sat there, I don't know how long, just absorbing it, and I returned several times. And that's Rembrandt's Night Watch.
Which is on the screen right now.
Which is on the screen right now, yes. To me, this is the most amazing work of shadow and light, composition and skill, of course. If I were to try to light this scene, to emulate the painting, it would take me weeks to set it up properly. It's remarkable. But Rembrandt used light to tell his story and to control the viewer's eye. You'll notice the brightest thing is actually a child running about. Here's this group, this military group, and the child is just running. She is so not within the spirit of this whole military, I forget, it was a company, or it's a portrait of a group of men, and this is a child of the company who is just simply adding an amazing spirit, and she is balanced against a drummer boy who is much darker, and he's all the way to the right of the picture. You also notice that the brush strokes on her are affected by the light. They're not as well defined because she is so illuminated. And when we do photography, we find that is true, that the highlights will blow out details often. But that's natural, that's right. And she is balanced by so much shadow. And you look at the two figures in front, they have both shadow and light sculpting them, making them much more three-dimensional than she is. I could talk about this painting for hours and hours because I've spent years studying it. But I find that the shadows define the picture to such a large extent, and the amount of detail. This isn't a good reproduction because it's only the web, but there's actually the motto of the company is in the shadows in the background on the wall. For us to emulate what Rembrandt did with painting, it will take me a lifetime, and I am so looking forward to this adventure of trying to find that kind of using light and shadow as the structure of the photograph and telling the story with it. I won't keep going on about this painting because then I'd waste the whole time with David talking about it. Do you have a few things you want to say about it?
I think that as a photographer, one of the things that I take note of is the way that the painter uses light and shadow to create dimension. And dimension in layers, so it's not just foreground, background, but the light in the image and the shadow in the image create layers of perception in a way, layers of seeing, so that in the foreground you have the two men and the girl in the midground, and then in the far background you have other people who are lit. In the midground there are people who are not lit. And it's really quite the amazing, how do I put this, sequence of elements in the photograph that really make it feel as though you're standing there and you're experiencing this situation for yourself. And we should all aspire to such skill in lighting our interior shots, or sometimes even exterior ones, in creating this sense of being there and the sense of dimensionality.